We can all see the effects of inflation and high interest rates causing everyone a headache today. But how did we get here? What were the key elements in making the situation so bad, and what can we do now that we're here in order to ease the financial strain? Welcome to The Eighth Wonder, a channel dedicated to making compound interest your best interest. In 2020, something big came along that changed everything: the COVID-19 pandemic. It had a profound impact on the global economy. The rapid spread of the virus led to widespread lockdowns and closures of non-essential businesses, causing a sharp decline in economic activity. The pandemic resulted in a significant contraction of the global economy, with estimates suggesting that it shrunk by as much as 4.4% in the year 2020. This represents the largest contraction since the Great Depression in the 1930s. The pandemic has also caused a rise in unemployment, with millions of people losing their jobs as businesses struggle to survive. Here's a breakdown of the different things that took place as a result. First, supply chain disruptions. The pandemic led to widespread lockdowns and travel restrictions, which disrupted global supply chains and caused shortages of certain goods such as PPE, semiconductors, and consumer electronics. This created a situation in which the demand for these goods outstripped supply, leading to higher prices. Second, commodity price increases. Commodities such as oil, food, and metals saw significant price increases in 2021. For example, the price of oil increased as demand picked up following the easing of lockdowns and travel restrictions, while food prices rose due to supply chain disruptions, weather-related crop damage, and other factors. Third, increase in demand. As economies reopened following lockdowns, there was a huge surge in demands for goods and services as people looked to make up for the time they lost during the pandemic. This increase in demand put upward pressure on prices as suppliers sought to increase their profits by charging more for their products and services. Fourth, monetary policy. Central banks around the world implemented expansive monetary policies in response to the pandemic, such as cutting interest rates and increasing the money supply. This increased the amount of money in circulation and made it easier for people and businesses to borrow, which boosted demand and contributed to higher inflation. And fifth, the weakness in the supply side. The pandemic has also highlighted weaknesses in the supply side, such as bottlenecks in production, labor shortages, and transportation disruptions. These factors can weaken the supply side and drive up prices as suppliers seek to maintain their profits in the face of increased costs. It's important to note that the impact of each of these factors vary depending on the country and the specific market in question. And central banks have been grappling with the challenge of balancing the need to support economic recovery with the need to keep inflation under control. As mentioned, all these factors contributed to the rise in inflation, which would only get worse with time. Since governments had eased monetary policies and dropped interest rates, they now had to do the opposite in order to try and slow down inflation, which meant raising interest rates. By raising rates, the expectation is that the prices will increase, spending will decrease, and demand will weaken, thus causing the rate of inflation to drop back down to regular levels. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to what will happen next. With more rate hikes being a possibility, many worry since this has an impact on repayments on things such as home loans, personal loans, or credit card debt. And the truth is, there is no quick fix to this. There are talks of a looming recession, which would mean a rise in unemployment caused by companies scaling down due to decreased profits, and a drop in home prices due to people not being able to afford to buy. As terrible as it sounds, there is a popular saying that riches are made in recessions. Warren Buffett has said that we need to be fearful when everybody is greedy, and greedy when everybody is fearful. The only way to make sure that you can take advantage of the situation is by learning and preparing so that when the time comes, you can identify an opportunity, one problem that you can solve and make money from, and you'll be able to make the most of the situation. A good example of this is how a company like Zoom profited from the pandemic because it was in the right place at the right time and was prepared to seize the opportunity. So as tough as times are economically, it will greatly benefit you to invest in yourself and in good businesses that will help set you up for great success later in life. Everything discussed so far is part of the economic cycle. There are times when things are good and everyone is happy, and there are times when things aren't so good and people are panicking. By educating ourselves, we can always find ways to make the most of each situation and be able to stay afloat no matter what. The 2008 market crash, also known as the global financial crisis, was triggered by a combination of factors, including the subprime mortgage crisis, over-leveraged financial institutions, and a lack of regulatory oversight. This led to a sharp decline in the value of mortgage-backed securities, which caused major banks and financial institutions to suffer large losses and eventually fail. To fix the crisis, governments and central banks around the world implemented a range of measures, including providing liquidity support to financial institutions, implementing stricter regulations on the financial industry, and passing laws to improve transparency and accountability. In the United States, the Troubled Asset Relief Program, also known as TARP, was established to provide funding to financial institutions in order to stabilize the financial system. Other countries also implemented their own stimulus packages to support their economies. A lot of companies came out of this situation and were able to thrive. One of those companies is Airbnb, which has grown in its popularity ever since. Companies like Activision Blizzard, DreamWorks Studios, and SiriusXM also emerged from the same time period and are still quite reputable businesses. Most of them are even listed on the stock exchange. There are a number of investors and businesses that made a lot of money from the market crash in 2008, most notably Michael Burry, who after the housing bubble crashed, made $100 million for himself, with investors in his fund making a further $700 million. Warren Buffett plowed $3 billion into General Electric at the height of the financial crisis. This investment received $3 billion in preferred stock paying 10% dividend plus stock warrants. Berkshire Hathaway made about $1.5 billion in profit. Buffett later said that he could have made more. Ray Dalio and his hedge fund Bridgewater Associates saw the crash brewing and were able to make the most of the situation. This is to show that when we educate ourselves and take action, we can put ourselves in a good position to benefit from opportunities that emerge. You don't need to be a big investor or even understand all the fancy terms used by analysts. You just need to understand what makes a good company and invest in that. I hope that after watching this video, you'll be able to find ways to take advantage of this situation. Keep educating yourself and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure to click on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. If you have found value in this video, please leave a like and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. But until then, stay invested. If you're still here, here's another video which YouTube thinks you will enjoy. Click on it to learn more. Hope to see you there.